The Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com.
Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent.
Every journey begins with a simple act of care. For Quest to Unite Africa, that journey started with something simple: a mother, a newborn, and a promise that no life would be forgotten. We did not begin with buildings, we began with people. We packed mother newborn kits with our own hands because real change starts where the need is greatest. Those kids traveled farther than we imagined, and they opened our eyes to a deeper truth. Aid saves lives, but infrastructure saves generations. So we grew. Together with donors, volunteers, and partners, we sent a medical container to Burkina Faso. Not just supplies, but hope. Not just boxes, but proof that when a community comes together, healing moves across borders. That moment changed us because we realized something powerful. We weren't just delivering help, we were building a future. Now the journey continues. The next chapter is bigger than a shipment, bigger than a campaign. We are raising funds to build a state-of-the-art hospital, a place where mothers can give birth safely, where families can find care close to home, and where communities can grow stronger for generations to come. This hospital is not just a structure, it's a promise. A promise that healthcare will no longer be temporary. A promise that dignity will have a permanent home. And just like every step before, we cannot do this alone. Every gift, every brick, every name placed on the founder path becomes part of a story that began with compassion and is growing into legacy. It helps us move from emergency aid to lasting healing, from containers to care that never leaves, from vision to reality. Join us, stand with us, help us build a hospital that will serve generations, moving healthcare into action. Visit q2ua.org today.
All right. Shalom. Salama. Siemi. Shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you're of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the house of Israel, or you're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. I welcome you this morning. Now, over the course of 24 hours, a lot of things have, in fact and indeed, been going on around the Middle East and beyond. You know, the Pope and Trump beef. Can we even when you have to think about the irrational and trying to make that rational, it makes no sense. Everything now is crazy, and it's a stupor. This is that stupor. This is that crazy. Going after one another, and really the Pope trying to do what the Pope does. And honestly, to me, my personal opinion, I could really care less. My opinion is cool. Let them go at each other, and maybe one of them will get so mad and reveal the truth. I would like to see the Pope get so mad that the Pope says, "You want to know what? Let me go ahead and unlock these vaults." Because I'm pretty sure that the vaults that were supposed to open March of 2020, I'm pretty sure that the U.S. had a direct involvement in ensuring that they remained closed, i.e., the cough, the cookie pandemic, all happening at the same time. I'm just saying. I'll digress from there. But the reality is, all you're seeing is an alienation that's taken place. Because now in this more strange, bizarre world, this dude is literally trying to make himself like Elohim. But you also have to understand, I don't think, when people try to provide some sort of a remedy of, well, I think it's drugs. No, I think it's this. No, you have to understand, this is how the wicked think. It's just that over the course of time, they weren't able to expose themselves like this, because then they would get this reaction, and then they'd be blown away into the annals of crazy. And this time, everybody's been given over to a strong delusion. Everyone. We've gone over these scriptures time and time and time again. Dark sentences, dark policy. We've gone over Daniel. We've gone over Jeremiah. We've gone over Obadiah. Now, it's easy for them to continue to float in the New Testament. Love, 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 love. But I have to always turn back towards what you see and how these scriptures that the Most High has always revealed for that time, for that season. I always have to go back let me show you this before I move forward. This is Daniel chapter 8. This is Daniel chapter 8. I'm going to start this at verse 18. Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. For at the time appointed, the end shall be. At the time appointed, the end shall be. So we're looking at the end. Now, as we're looking at the end, we're looking at a time and a slice of time. We're in that time. Don't get it twisted. They want to always kind of leave out the underpinnings of what the end is. They're thinking, oh, it's the end of the world. No, it's not. The end of this indignation, the end of our captivity, the end of us being in the stupor, the slumber, the end of our punishment, the end of our judgment. And this is Gabriel breaking this down to Daniel. The ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. And the rough goat is the king of Greece. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now that being broken, whereas four stood upon it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the later time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. What is that? Well, we'll take a look because you'll start to understand market manipulations. You'll start to understand. Well, we have another ceasefire on top of a ceasefire, and we have another round of talks that haven't been confirmed. It's getting to the point that people are starting to understand the game here. The game isn't for us, it's for them, because the dark sentences that had been able to blind us and keep us living in dark in the stupor and darkness is now on them. Daniel 8 and 24 continued. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through his policy also he shall craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. See, we've gone through these types and these shadows, as Jacoba would describe it, which is true. It's types and shadows. But at the end, There's different markers to this end. There's now an awakening happening, not just here in America, not just in the African diaspora, but all throughout the continent. And now you're starting to see that there are different demonstrations of that awakening that has taken place over the last literally couple of weeks. A global recognition of the transatlantic slave trade as the gravest crime against humanity. Do you know what that does? That destroys policy. That destroys dark sentences. That destroys the narratives. See, what we're beginning to understand is that when I have always stated, you're not just dealing with white supremacy, you're dealing with vanity. You're dealing with pride. You're dealing with a magnification in their heart to say, look, I'm not going to go into captivity. Nothing's going to happen to me. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'll always have my friends. I'll always be able to pay off the people. I'll always be able to have some dirt on people. Fierce continents. That means that they have zero shame in what they do. It doesn't mean that look, I think we have to understand that even though we read the word, when you're looking at the manifestations of the principalities that are set over us in this captivity, those principalities don't play fair, and neither do their people that prescribe to their principalities. The more wicked you do, right, the more position that you earn. Don't believe me? Where's Eric Swalwell at? Well, he ain't in Congress anymore. His accuser came on out, and if there's one, there's going to be others. That's why he left. In order to be a politician anywhere, you have to be able to do what? You have to be a sellout, right? In order to get money in this nation, you have to be a sellout. Well, I'm proud to tell you I thank the Most High for my struggles. I thank the Most High that I'm here thinking about how to pay for some bills. I thank the Most High that I'm here thinking about, okay, well, thank you, Father. It's tax season and it's a struggle. Because you want to know why? I'd struggle than be led into this judgment that the wicked are going into ever so closer. Do you all understand last year? We were looking at this. Last April, we were looking at this. What did we say? Oh, tariffs are going to do what? They're going to lead to war. Excuse me. Because what did we say? You're now depriving a people of a trade. You're now depriving people of resources. Do you see what ended up happening? The trade, the tariffs did not work. Here comes the next policy. Here comes the next dark sentence. Well, we're going to go to war with Iran, and now we're going to shut up and close up the Strait of Hormuz. what they're about to do, they're about to lose all of their choke points. They're about to lose their freedom of navigation around the Cape of Good Hope. They're about to lose the the Bab el Mendeb Strait. They're about to lose everything that they had in terms of global dominance. And here's the thing that I want to really highlight, because honestly, in one of the Lego movies, or Lego movies, Lego shorts, and it was very distinct. The short was actually very interesting. I don't know if they truly understood what they were saying prophetically or biblically, but in this short was stating that they lost control. And as they lost control, and it was one of these AI videos, it wasn't very nicely put together, but the madness that they were doing always led to them tripping over their own feet, which is happening right now. And as they continue to trip over their own feet, one of the Lego Iranian characters, they were monitoring the situation in the control room, and the character was a subordinate asking the boss there, do we go just yet? Do we respond? And the boss said, no. When you are in control, you do not respond. I said, wow. I had to do a double take on that one. We can't move through the strait. We can't move anywhere. We can't move out. We can't move in. And the U.S. side of the house and the characters were saying, we don't know what to do. We're trying to move forwards, but we can't move forward and we can't go backward. Let me go back into Daniel chapter 8, verse 25. And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. Do you understand that these peace negotiations, that's what they were? Come on now. Follow me, please. I tell this to my students. Let me help you. Let me help you to draw this to the conclusion. Through the peace negotiations that they tried to craft, and then through the peace negotiations, this was back in February. I know we all grew up with fluoride in our water, but let's make these connections in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let's get some healing in those synapses that they tried to rot down and calcify and all sorts of things with heavy metals on us so we could be autistic and have some sort of mental issues of cognitive dysfunctions. Oh, you didn't know that that's what they targeted us with. Count yourself blessed that through all that targeting, that you are in your right mind. Because many of us in our families are dealing with those types of mental declines and mental cognition disorders. And don't get it twisted. Here's the crazy thing. That's what they put in our food to even cause us to have these cognitive disorders all throughout our lives. It's cold policy. It's a cold policy. Peace, peace. Take this. Peace, peace. Eat that. Peace, peace. Inject this. Man, if it wasn't for the Most High, we would be literally zombies defecating on ourselves. How did we not destroy these Negroes? They couldn't get rid of us. And now the plan is they ain't got no plan. The plan is they don't have a plan. The plan is they're running into their own stupor. The plan is they have to threaten genocidal actions. Do you understand that? Don't think that we're going to get out of here scot-free. Because you have to realize that as they realize they're failing, all we're doing is speaking truth and peace, everyone to his neighbor. Zechariah, chapters 8 and 9. They'll be searching for fault in Judah, but none shall be found. You better look at Jeremiah 50 and 20. Looking for something with Israel, looking for fault with us. Look, they can't do it. And yes, all their plans are failing. All their plans. So why do you think he had to dress himself and magnify himself as Yahushua HaMashiach? The vanilla version. Because their plans are failing. Do you understand that that's called a last-ditch effort? That's literally a Hail Mary. Hey, you're losing them. Do something drastic. Well, what about this plan? You're now having a religiosity. Well, that will risk, being called a blasphemer. That will risk alienation. That will risk this, and it. Do you know that risks everything? Do you understand? I'm going to tell you this. And I know that this will apply to most of the viewing audience, live stream audience back in the day. Because I would laugh about this. A couple years ago, I would talk about Jack Van Impe. Oh, especially as Russia had kicked off and things were going on in Ukraine. I do my little Jack Impe Jack Van Impe. Y'all know what I'm talking about, Jack Van Impe, especially in the mid to late 90s, especially if y'all are in the Midwest, TBN, he'd be coming on Saturday night. So he wasn't scaring the audiences. He was definitely not getting the tithes and offerings. Well, listen, Roxella, we got a brand new video explaining all this and how the Antichrist will rise to power. Well, let's show the footage, and then it'll be the little janky studio. Hey, it worked. I bought a couple of them Jack Van Impe VHS. My mom would look at me at 15 years old. Karis, you bought another one? I said, sure did, Mom. I got to make sure that I'm ready for the end of the world. I'm on Rapture Watch. How many times have we had Rapture Watch? Jack and Rexella. Jesus is coming back again. You better be ready. Watch my latest on how the Antichrist rises to power and how he starts World War III and how after World War III, the nations will be destroyed and subdued and Jesus is coming back. They totally skipped a lot of different generations in there to obviously bring about their narrative and to make sure that obviously they were profiting from their VHS cassettes that obviously back in the 90s in my foolish teenage years I had been duped on. It wasn't just me. You know, almost it was like they knew their target audience. It was like 7 out of 8 or 8 out of 10 black households that went to church. If you're not able to buy a VHS or if you've already bought one, help support this ministry. Rexella and I would appreciate it. I still remember the look on his face. This is a fight for the soul of America and your soul. Man, they profited. Off of what? Off of a lie. Some truth, whole lot of lie. And if you understand what's happening right now, their profits are off of lies. I'm looking at an article just this morning, matter of fact. The article had stated that they're estimating that around June 15th this year, in less than 60 days and counting, which is right now, they're estimating that most of the oil above the ground will be consumed worldwide. Boy, that was quick. See, understand the strategic reserve only gave so much, and they didn't even put back a lot of the strategic reserve. They didn't. They were trying to hit the strategic reserve, and we covered this at a price point. They wanted something like around 50 or like 55 to 60 bucks a gallon. And that wasn't happening because the war in Ukraine basically kept the oil above that price point. And even in the Biden administration, they weren't happy about that. In the Trump administration, they weren't happy either. Remember the whole drill, baby, drill. We got all this drill, baby, drill. Yeah. The problem is you still have, and this is why it's real quick. It's real messed up. Yeah, they're going to have ships coming through. Oh, they will. But I don't think people understand the extent of what that's going to mean, especially when they're putting out the guidance by the IA or the International Energy Agency, the IAE. Excuse me, IEA. And I'll have that article here. that you want to basically not own a vehicle anymore. And that guidance is very, very interesting because, well, everything going green and this and that. Get your Tesla, get it charged. I look at that, and we're going to jump to this article in a second, but I look at that back in the Daniel chapter 8, verse 25. And by peace shall destroy many. These nations are being messed up, including this one. These gas pumps are quickly running out. If Brother Asaph and Sister Chantel and all the other folks in the UK are British family, they would attest. Because it's affecting Europe. It's definitely affecting Australia. It's affecting everyone across the world. Yesterday, I called a friend of mine in Saudi Arabia. And just checking in on him, and, he had said, there's nothing that we need. And I know that they always try to posture, because the reality is this. These folks have gotten mollywopped by the U.S. because, honestly, they got sold a lie. Hey, we're going to go through. We're just going to do this. Bing, bang, bam. You're going to have all of Iran's oil. They were greedy too. And when you get all of Iran's oil, you're going to be living large. I don't know what type of vernacular was stated in those high-level meetings. More so, you're going to be living bigly and hugely. It's going to be the best. It's going to be the greatest. That's probably more like it. And guess what? They got the ear of the Saudis, especially at the high level. And they said, hey, I can get down with that. And now when I was talking to the friend, within 24 hours, because he had said something very interesting. He said this. He said, it's going to be interesting how things work, because all of the Gulf allies have turned to utilizing Arab nations. He said, particularly Pakistan. And I said, wow. Do you actually know what that means? That means that they conceded. I was easily able to read between the lines on that one. One of the demands that the Iranians had, and you didn't see that they had it, but then the U.S., on the U.S. side, they quickly took that out. Oh, they quickly took that out. Oh, no. We're gonna continue to have U.S. military personnel. We had said that they're gonna make sure that the U.S. personnel leave the area. No. We're gonna. They're having Pakistan as a proxy arbiter. As a proxy arbiter. And I laugh because I'm like, Pakistan is so fair weather, it's not even funny. Okay, if that's what they want to use. Not fair weather to really a lot of the Arab world, but fair weather to the United States. That all comes in part that a lot of people don't understand or remember that after September 11th, sometime afterwards, Pakistan was the holdup spot for Osama bin Laden for years. That was a big one to me. And I wasn't going to mention that. There's a lot of things I know I just don't mention. I can't. I'm sorry. But I wasn't going to mention that until I started to see reports. Times of India. Yeah, I'm promoting Times of India. Now, I'm going to tell you this. They're about 90% accurate. Don't get it twisted. They're 90% accurate. Some of that stuff is really okay. Take it with a grain of salt. Like the next upcoming peace talks. Again, the duplicitousness on the weekend. Market. Look, didn't I tell you that? By Wednesday, what are we going to start to hear? Oh, well, we're going to have another round of talks, right? By Wednesday. The blockade, they're still having it up, but it's failing. Now, the U.S. is trying to sanction Chinese banks. That's not going to work. They already know that. Sanctions are failed. Whatever. Everything's done in the yuan anyway. So sanctions are failed. That's just a placating to the ignorant masses thinking that the dollar is still in charge. It hasn't. The dollar failed. This is why the blockade is enforced to basically bully the other smaller nations into making sure that they pay the U.S. a fee. That's high seas, high level piracy, nation state piracy. That's how that goes. There's a policy. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes. The prince of princes. Ooh. Am I reading this correctly? This is Daniel chapter 8. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes. Who is he mocking? Is he not mocking Yahushua HaMashiach? Here's the last one, family. But he shall be broken without hand. You know, there was a comment yesterday, and someone had said, so basically China's going to take over Taiwan without firing a shot. I said, I don't know. I really don't know. I can't answer that. But let me tell you what the word says. But he shall be broken without hand. Oh boy. There's also duplicitousness in the oil tankers too. Let me tell you this. If you're an oil tanker and you're a ship, especially in this time, especially in times of desperation, do you want to be in other countries offloading oil in other countries? Not really, because why? Because then that country will use the same mechanism that's being used against that country. Piracy. Hey, we're just going to hold this ship until you send more oil. You see that calculus right there? We got empty vessels. I'm sure you do have empty vessels. You declared war against the whole world. So the world is going to say, okay, if you want to keep your people here, you're going to start to pay a ransom. If you want to keep your resources here, then you're going to start to pay a ransom. Do you see how this is going to go? The cost of business is going to be a lot more because of what you're doing to us. Look, people think that countries are just going to lay down and, get messed up. That's only in the world of imagination. And when you do have Willy Wonka in the house, almost Willy Wonka, he is definitely Grimace or the Hamburglar with the DoorDash grandma. Yo, this economy is so bad that I'm promoting DoorDash grandma. Oh boy. What do you think about those trans, huh? What do you think about those trans? I don't have a comment. Well, that failed bigly. Let me get to my orange Fanta. Isn't this economy so great? Yeah, as soon as they start having those subdermal tattoos with whatever transhuman stuff on there, don't worry, you can get paid passively with having your Hardee's tattoo and your Brando tattoo. Boy, that just goes to clarify and to show you how bad things are. But that's not going to last very long. Let me show you this IEA report. This is from Reuters. I put this in the chat a couple minutes ago. IEA warns Iran war oil shock will cut supply demand to shrink. By Robert Harvey. This is as of yesterday, 4 a.m. World oil supply will shrink this year as the war in the Middle East disrupts exports, while demand will also contract. The International Energy Agency said on Tuesday, reversing earlier forecasts for growth as what it calls the largest oil supply shock in history, sends prices soaring. It's not actually $150 a barrel. We're actually more towards 170. 170. So now you're going to see governments introducing fuel saving measures. Supply will fall by 1.5 million barrels per day this year. That's as of right now. It's going to continue to fall. They're giving you a nicety because they don't really want to have people. This is the panic buffer. Okay, this is a panic buffer. Hey, it's gonna get bad, but as it gets bad, it's not gonna be that bad. If you need to go to the emergency room, if you need to get an ambulance, I need to get an engineer that does you know, bicycle engineer work, because obviously we're going to have to get a 20 speed um, bicycle cart contraption that can hold a respirator and a defibrillator. Don't worry. The ambulance is going to be there in about 30 minutes. Oh, how come it's going to take the ambulance so long to get there? Oh, well, they just got to make sure that they can bring the crew in order to be on the ambulance service. You're going to have to be able to be a Lance Armstrong. And the full EMT get up. I wonder if they're going to have the little striped biker hats, with the little high reflector. EMT ambulance. Will they put that on the handlebar? Hit the siren. Right on the handlebar. Click, cling, click, cling. We have somebody coding over here. The ambulance is 5 miles away. Well, we better hurry so we can get there in about 30 minutes. No, Yasmin Show, you are not the only one imagining this. You want to talk about money? Look, that's what we need to be doing. Hurry, quick! Email me so we can get we can get a schematic going, get a prototype on out there. I thought I saw a putty cat. That sounds like some Elmer Fudd stuff. You are right, Brother Guard. This is some Looney Tunes Elmer Fudd stuff. Man, if that doesn't work, I'm about to get me a pack of German Shepherds and be looking like Call the Wild or Balto. Mush! Mush! Hey, you got to do what you got to do. When they say horsepower, they really do mean horsepower. We're going to need to have green trails just for horses. I kind of I shiver at that. Yeah, we need to make some ambulatory bicycles. There you go, ambulatory bicycles. Oh, we may think it's funny. It's not funny for the rest of the world, because more countries are speeding towards that June 15th deadline. And you see these countries, what they're doing. Let me put this on out there. She warns of crumbling world order in talks with Spain, UAE. She links global turmoil to need for cooperation, meeting Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez in Beijing. Xi Jinping warned that chaos abounds and the international order is crumbling. He urged communication and trust to uphold the rule of law and resist a return to the law of the jungle. Sanchez echoed the call. So here you go. Now you see it. In talks with UAE Crown Prince Sheikh Khalid, she stressed that the rule of law must be upheld in the Middle East, implicitly criticizing the U.S. Eastern Mediterranean nation folks' war on Iran. He argued that international law should not be applied selectively, warning against unilateral actions at the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports. So now you're starting to see this. This is how nations collapse. This is how the system collapses. I had mentioned yesterday, I said, look, China is going to have to step up because people are going to start to get mad at China. Hey, you got all these capabilities, but you can't help. Now you have to understand this is a road to war scenario that you have with China. Hey, we got to get our money back. Why is that? Because these folks are stealing all of our money while making us poor. Don't believe me? Just watch. Let me put this on in here. And I'll switch this to this screen right here. This is from a Financial Times. U.S. banks, Wall Street banks record or break records as Iran war drives trading boom. JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo reported more than $25 billion in profits for the first quarter. This is from a Joshua Franklin and Aquila Quinio in New York, published about 55 minutes ago. So this was this morning, today. Wall Street's biggest bank smashed records with first quarter earnings that are market volatility sparked by the outbreak of the Iran war, i.e., they're stealing your money. They're stealing it's international funds that's being stolen. Hey, we're just gonna make you. We're gonna get rich while you get poor. That windfall isn't gonna come down to Americans. This is what's happening. They're getting their safety net together. Here's a good one, because I don't think a lot of people are going to catch this. JP Morgan reported the highest ever revenues from its trading business and net income for the bank that was second only to 2024 when it received a one-off windfall from the sale of its stake in Visa. Why are they selling their stake in Visa? Because of BRICS. BRICS Pay. That was when you first had an introduction of BRICS Pay in 2024. They were understanding that they needed to liquidate out of the global order of finance because that global order of finance obviously has ended, i.e., this is why these countries are buying oil in the yuan and having access to that oil now blockaded by the US. This is just high level theft and thievery. So now, when you look at the article that I just presented, you're now seeing a buildup to the road of war because you have to understand these folks aren't just going to outright strike. They can't. They have to have the buildup. They have to make the case known. And on top of that, they're going to have the pain felt within their countries, within their nations. Oh, you feel that pain? Oh, you enjoy going to the emergency room via a horse-drawn carriage or a dog sledding operation? You get your Uber Eats delivered via bicycle? Oh, you go to work downtown and you don't have any trains because they didn't want to do any green or light rail. And now you have to do a Tour de France leg to and from work every day. You gotta bike to work, take a shower at work so you're not funky at work. And then you gotta bike home. Well, at least you're losing weight. Maha, make America healthy again. They didn't tell you how they're gonna do it. Forget the treadmill and the stationary bike. You'll get a bike credit. A green energy bike credit. We'll give you $1. You can't make it up. So, in the article, the IEA was telling you, yes, it basically is a 15-minute standard or city. Commuting only 3 days a week, reducing speed limits, and no driving on like Sundays or other days. This is the world that we're living in. It's really not funny. It's actually very, very sad. But here we are. Now, to me, if they're talking the way that they're talking, especially to China, remember, you have to think about this. China knows how to mobilize forces very quickly. And what people were saying that the amount of ships that they had amassed, I think it was last year, it wasn't just to neutralize Taiwan. They said they could actually neutralize a lot more than Taiwan. They didn't want to like give more specifics to that. What could they do? That's going to be the question now. All right, well, you want to cut off the rest of the world from trade. We'll cut off the United States from goods, services. India could do that too. You want to know why they're doing data centers? Because it's easier to cut off services, but they still had to get the manufacturing down, which I don't think that they have. Welcome to this new order that I pray is relatively short lived, which is what I pray. And through all this, the Most High is still on his throne, seeing this thing to the end. So, what we're commanded to do, we're commanded to be patient. Patience wins the day. I know it's hard. I know a lot of our people are definitely on out there struggling. But remember, the Most High is still in control. When you want to complain, when you want to murmur, that's when you need to give the Most High praise even more. That's when you have to say, Father, thank you for all you do, Father. These stories can have an impact, a negative impact. But when you are understanding how the Most High is moving, that's when you need to be encouraged. Because he is moving for our sakes. He's doing things that we can't see behind the scenes. He's doing things that people would say would never happen. I'm sorry. They said that the recognition of the transatlantic slave trade as one of the greatest crimes or the greatest crimes against humanity in the world, that wouldn't have happened 5, 10, or even 15 years ago. It wouldn't. Do you know what that's doing? It's an admission of guilt. You know what that's doing? A lot of people's hearts are turning away from this system. This system is crumbling. But they don't want to tell you is that it's crumbling for another people's benefit. And that is what the Most High is doing because he loves his people. We were not going to be in this system forever. Even though they think that they're going to hold us forever with the mighty arm. If you understand, literally, the Most High, he breaks those arms. That's why in Daniel chapter 8 and 25, it says, look, without hand, they can't do anything. And they know they can't. That's why they want you to worship a fake satellite launch, a fake God, a fake system. And you better understand what they were trying to do to have you worship that image, have you worship that ceremony a couple weeks ago. The devil is a liar. Especially during Passover season. Yes. In the midst of it. Get out of here. The devil is a liar. But right now, you need to choose this day whom you shall serve. And let me tell you, when you serve the Most High, he's going to take care of you. When you serve the devil, he's going to take care of you too. It's not the way you expect. And now you're starting to see how the devil is taking care of this system. I'm just looking to see what other craziness is going to start to abound. But with that said, family, I got to get up on out of here. Most High willing, I'll be back on tomorrow, and we'll see exactly the craziness in this next weekly cycle. I would say, excuse me, we're going to see what lies are going to start to transpire in this week's cycle. I think that's the best way to say it. All right. So with that, family, shalom, salama, siemi, shalom, peace and blessings. Yasharel.